I don't know if we will anymore.
Man, it's also sad. Another male friendship destroyed. This is why men are so lonely. But so what? You know what? So what? Elon criticized the size of the bill. Trump said he was disappointed in Elon. Seems like a reasonable disagreement. Trump threatened to take away Elon's government contracts. Elon said Trump was in the Epstein files, and this all happened in like the last hour.
What happens when Elon Musk's chaotic decisions collide with Seth Meyers' sharp tongue? Let's just say, not even Musk's rockets could brace for this crash landing. Stay tuned to find out why Trump is unexpectedly fuming over the aftermath. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. What happens when Elon Musk decides the word Twitter is too complicated and rebrands it as just X?
Ultimately, one might even say scholarly debate on the merits of tax cuts and government spending, and I'm just kidding, they're going at each other. Ask our graphics team what it would look like if Elon Musk used Trump's makeup to cover up his black eye.
Well, Seth Meyers had plenty to say, and let's just say it wasn't a Hallmark card of congratulations. Musk, who's been in the spotlight for everything but subtlety, has recently turned his billion-dollar social media platform into a testing ground for every impulsive idea that pops into his head. From selling blue check marks, once a status symbol, to anyone with a credit card, to firing employees like they were contestants voted off a reality show, Musk's management style has been described as, let's say, unique. And by unique, I mean eyebrow-raising chaos. Take the rebranding of Twitter to X, for example. A bold move? Sure, if you consider slapping a single letter on one of the most recognized social media platforms in the world bold. But it didn't quite land the way he probably imagined. Users were baffled, advertisers became skittish, and tech experts described the rename as both confusing and unnecessary. Then there's the whole selling the blue checkmarks business. It essentially turned verification into a purchase, which, in theory, was supposed to level the playing field, but instead led to rampant impersonation.
Trump threatened to take away Elon's government contracts. Elon said Trump was in the Epstein files, and this all happened in like the last hour. So that spiraled out of control. And it's not just Trump who lost a friend. House Speaker Mike Johnson used to be so proud of how tight he was with the world's richest man.
Suddenly, anyone with $8 could pose as a well-known individual, leading to cases of fake celebrity accounts and bogus brand announcements. Combine that with staff layoffs so aggressive they left entire departments scrambling, including the crucial ones responsible for things like moderation, and you have a perfect storm of chaos. Seth Meyers, never one to pass up on a good punchline, took all this mess and turned it into comedic gold. He described Musk's leadership as a chaotic spiral of millionaire gibberish that his audience couldn't get enough of. One of his most biting remarks was about the platform's new name. Quoting one of Meyers' sharpest jabs, "You don't spend $44 billion to rebrand into the algebra homework no one does." He went further, mocking how Musk seems more concerned with being perceived as a creative genius than running a coherent business. Meyers also skewered Musk's free speech crusade, which, according to critics, seemed to end the moment people started criticizing him. Remember the journalists banned from the platform? Or the scientists who suddenly found themselves locked out of their accounts for pointing out inconvenient truths? Meyers summed it up as free speech for thee, but not for me. And really, the numbers don't lie. Since Musk's takeover, Twitter, or X, depending on how much you care about Musk's feelings, has seen a noticeable decline in user experience. Various reports have highlighted increased bugs, slower updates, and a growing frustration among users who feel like they're watching a billionaire play a continuous game of what if with their communication tool. Even advertisers, the backbone of Twitter's revenue, have pulled back, with many citing brand safety concerns as Musk's hands-off moderation approach leads to a rise in harmful content.
He told me he was taking so many drugs he had bladder problems. What's with the Republicans just admitting things they should keep to themselves? They're out there telling everyone they don't read the bills they vote for.
But he said, no, I don't think so, which is interesting.
He can't use your makeup. It doesn't match his skin tone. Now,
Meyers tapped into this frustration beautifully, calling Musk's leadership chaos pretending to be creativity, a line that hit hard not just because it's funny, but because, well, it's kind of true. But here's where things get even more interesting. Meyers didn't just stop at corporate mismanagement or bad branding decisions. He also took a jab at Musk himself, critiquing his personality in a way that seemed to cut deeper than the rest. He teased Musk as someone who hides behind his billions while pretending he's just a quirky guy who happens to make rockets on weekends. The crowd loved it, but this critique appeared to strike a nerve with Musk's fan base online, many of whom are quick to defend him as a misunderstood genius. It was a bold move by Meyers, no doubt, and it resonated with anyone tired of seeing billionaires make questionable decisions while the general public faces the fallout.
anyway, Musk thought he was in control. Now he's realizing he's not, and he's pretty bummed.
And even with the black eye, I said, do you want a little makeup? We'll get you a little makeup.
One of the standout moments from Meyers' takedown was when he joked about how Musk constantly seems to be announcing big innovations that either already exist or are clearly half-baked. If you squint hard enough, you can almost see the thought bubble above Musk's head that says, "What if I reinvented the wheel, but worse?" Meyers quipped to a room full of laughter. This encapsulated the growing sentiment about Musk, a man bold enough to think his every idea is genius, regardless of how it performs in reality. The real kicker, though, Meyers' roast went beyond laughs. It highlighted something people have been feeling for a while now: frustration with how much power tech billionaires wield. His words weren't just about poking fun at Musk, they tapped into the broader concerns people have about unchecked egos in positions of immense influence. It was sharp, it was pointed, and it was clearly enough to spark reactions from some surprising places. And of those reactions, none might be more intriguing or bizarre than the fallout from Donald Trump himself. Yep, Meyers' roast didn't just stop at Musk's doorstep. Somehow it managed to set off alarm bells in Trump's world too, turning this late-night comedy takedown into a crossfire of egos. Curious how? Oh, this one's a rabbit hole you're going to want to hear about. Seth Meyers tearing into Elon Musk was already entertaining, but who could have guessed it would ruffle Donald Trump's feathers? That's right, the guy who seems to feud with everyone from wind turbines to baseball players is now reportedly steaming over Musk's latest public roasting. And while it might sound random at first, Trump being upset about this has layers, a bitter mix of bruised egos, politics, and just the perfect hint of conspiracy. To start, it's no secret that Trump has a complicated relationship with both Musk and late-night comedians.
It's like disappointed to see the massive spending bill, frankly.
You saw a man who was very happy when he stood behind the Oval desk.
On one hand, he's praised Musk occasionally in public. A genius, he once called him, probably angling for some kind of reflected glory. But the love has always been conditional, ready to disappear the moment Musk steps out of line. Case in point, there's speculation that Trump once tried to play hardball by threatening to pull government contracts Musk relied on, a power move Trump hoped would remind everyone who's really in charge. Then there's Musk hitting back in subtle but pointed ways, like when he openly questioned Trump's finances or hinted at scandalous connections, including the Epstein files. What we're left with is this bizarre frenemy dynamic. Two guys who can't seem to fully commit to allyship, but still orbit each other thanks to their larger-than-life personalities.
I'm very disappointed in Elon. I've helped Elon a lot. Look, Elon and I had a great relationship.
Elon suggesting that Trump might be a pedophile. Also, if we were to take you at your word, Elon, you already knew that.
Now throw Seth Meyers into the mix. As a veteran comedian, he's nobody's loyal PR rep, least of all for Musk, whose leadership received a merciless critique during the now viral monologue. Meyers even tossed off his signature understated delivery for a sharper tone, calling Musk's business ideas millionaire gibberish spiraling out of control to uproarious laughter. It wasn't just a jab at Musk's rebranding disaster or his erratic push for paid blue checkmarks. No, this was deeper. Meyers' jokes landed harder because, in their simplicity, they exposed how absurdly fragile tech billionaires can be when their genius is questioned. Audiences loved it, but at some point, Trump must have decided this wasn't just about Musk anymore.
I don't know if we're well anymore.
Man, it's also sad. Another male friendship destroyed. This is why men are so lonely. But so what? You know what? So what? Elon criticized the size of the bill. Trump said he was disappointed in Elon. Seems like a reasonable disagreement.
No, this was hitting close to home. For Trump, everything, even something that has nothing to do with him, still somehow becomes about him. Public mockery has always been his kryptonite, and comedians, in particular, seem to know exactly where to strike. From Stephen Colbert to Jimmy Kimmel, Trump's received no shortage of insults on national television. And his reaction? Predictable outrage. Sure, he might laugh it off at rallies when surrounded by die-hard supporters, but behind the scenes? Former aides have reported that Trump takes these jokes as personal attacks, no matter how ridiculous they are on the surface. By now, Trump's playbook for these situations is almost routine. If someone mocks him, he either fires off an angry post, think all caps, lots of sad, and maybe some incoherent nicknames, or turns the criticism into a stepping stone for his conspiracy theories. Conveniently, Musk has provided plenty of material for Trump's favorite kind of drama: shady accusations involving big money, secret deals, and vaguely defined elites. Trump's alleged temper tantrum over Meyers' roast pulls together all these threads.
In the Oval Office, just last week, Trump gave him a ceremonial golden key he stole from the Pirates of the Caribbean ride at Disneyland. I don't know about DJT, but I'm having a pretty nice day. Holy
Publicly, he and Musk may have clashed, but privately, they share more similarities than differences. Whether it's using their platforms for self-promotion or fending off critics with the thin-skinned precision of toddlers denied dessert, both men thrive on controlling public perception, and neither handles scrutiny well. The irony here is almost too much. Meyers roasting Musk didn't really paint Trump in any direct light, but it didn't have to. The critique of Musk's supposed chaos disguised as thinking outside the box hits a little too close for someone like Trump. While he wasn't the target, he likely recognized pieces of himself in the takedown, maybe even saw it as a sneak attack on his own public image. And since Trump has never been one to let an opportunity for manufactured outrage pass him by, here we are. On a broader level, though, Meyers wasn't just zeroing in on Musk or even tech billionaires like him. The whole segment struck at something much larger: the way unchecked power concentrates in the hands of a few, often coated with a thick layer of ego and privilege. Trump's reaction suggests he understood the underlying criticism, or at least felt it, even if by proxy. And let's be honest, the guy does like to remind people he's still relevant, even if it's by picking an unnecessary fight nobody asked for. The ranting, the conspiracies, the fragile ego. Trump's angry overtones in the aftermath speak volumes about how humor can cut through the bravado. It raises an uncomfortable question. What does all of this mean for Musk and Trump? Are they rivals, allies, or just two guys with overlapping grudges and big enough platforms to air them loudly? Because with this much ego colliding, there's no room for anyone to play the sidekick. And maybe that's the point. Seth Meyers not only punched up with his monologue, but also accidentally highlighted how desperately both men rely on the public's attention. Whether they're clashing publicly or quietly seething on their own, nothing escapes the gravitational pull of their egos. Sure, it's absurd, but in some twisted way, it also feels like modern America in a nutshell. Seth Meyers didn't just roast Elon Musk, he held up a mirror to the illusion of invincibility surrounding powerful figures. Humor strips away the pretense, revealing that even billionaires like Musk aren't untouchable. The fact that this triggered Donald Trump, a man who's laser-focused on his image, shows just how much influence public perception holds over these larger-than-life personas. It's a reminder for all of us to question the power we give them. Whether it's Musk's tech experiments or Trump's endless need for attention, one thing's for sure: when the emperor has no clothes, comedians like Seth don't miss.